Despite this primary being essentially over for months now, Republicans have spent over $100 million on Iowa ads, with even more to come. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election. Because as most of you have known for virtually the entire cycle, and really anybody with a brain should see this, Republicans have had a quote-unquote competitive primary. So competitive that the frontrunner, former President Trump, has been up by 40 points for like 5 months now. Well, despite all of this, despite all the data to prove, this primary is effectively over. Even 6 months ago, it was like, what are we doing here? Despite all of that, Republicans have spent over $100 million on Iowa ads alone. You heard that right. The GOP has poured 9 figures into one state that's not even a swing state for 2024 for a primary. What does that tell you about the current state of affairs for the GOP? Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Guys, just for $1 a month, you can join Real American. This is the best way to support the daily content that we all know and love. So I hope and recommend you join the channel today. Alright, everybody. Now, like I said, you have spent over 9 figures on this one primary in one state that's not even a battleground in 24. This should piss everyone off. Because you know how much money is just wasted on this? And not just for, it's one thing, and I still think 9 figures absurd. It's one thing if this was a back and forth, down the wire race. Like I said, Trump's been up for 6 months now by like 40 points. Even before then, he was up by 20 to 30. Yet they kept spending more and more and more money that could have been used to register unregistered voters in, say, Wisconsin, say, Pennsylvania, get voters out to vote. But no, they burnt it on ads, not even a ground game. That doesn't even count the ground game. 9 figures. So let's get into it. Republican presidential candidates and outside groups have blanketed the Iowa airwaves ahead of the first in the nation caucuses, spending nearly $105 million on ads there in 2023. But go ahead and tell me that there's not enough money for Blake Masters for the U.S. Senate. Just tell me that there's not enough money for Joe Kent. Just tell me there's not enough money for whoever. I am sick of these same people that say, we're out of money, then proceeds to spend this much on one caucus that's not even competitive. It's competitive for second and third. We all know Trump's going to steamroll in Iowa. And that figure is set to grow by at least $7.5 million before the January 15th caucuses. So 2 weeks, under 2 weeks from now, they're spending an additional $7.5 million. When the polling has Trump up by 40 to 50. According to upcoming ad reservations tracked by the firm Ad Impact, it's being driven by former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's late push for a strong finish in Iowa, which is delusional. Listen, if you were down by 4 or 5 for first, that's one. That would be a strong finish. If you lose by 40, I don't care what the media spins it as. Nobody's going to believe you as serious. You spent all that money and you still couldn't even crack second place? You're still down by 40 points? What are we doing here? After former President Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis spent most of 2023 polling first and second there, and Trump's not polling just first, he's polling at 55-60% now. That's a 40 to 50 point lead. And you look at this. Haley's campaign alone is spending, what is that, $4.6 million just in 2 weeks on a state that they're down by 40 in, that they have barnstormed repeatedly. This should piss everyone off. This should. That they're burning all of this money that could be used for next year. Or I should say this year now. I mean, why? Do you really think a 40-point defeat's going to cause you to surge? I think quite the opposite. When people see that in New Hampshire, they're like, wait, you're down by 40 to 50 in Iowa? And you're already down by 20 to 30 in New Hampshire? Yeah, we're done with this. While Trump has held consistent leads over the rest of the GOP field in recent Iowa polling, recent shifts in ad spending in the state also reflect broader shifts in the GOP race. They're making this sound like it's like a 5-point lead for Trump. He's up by 40. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott's campaign and an aligned outside group dominated the Iowa airwaves over the summer and early fall, which should tell you everything. Tim Scott, who in my opinion, he didn't run the best campaign. At least he tried, trying to be the optimistic, Republican senator from South Carolina. At least he tried with his campaign, tried something different. It didn't work, but at least he was likable. He spent a lot of money, and even he couldn't surge at all. What does that tell you? Listen, ad spending is good and all for getting your name out there. But when you're this late in the cycle, when everybody knows who Nikki Haley is, who's going to be in the caucus, or at least who's going to caucus, everyone knows who Trump is, obviously. Everyone knows who DeSantis is. Ad spending this late in the game, not going to change much. SFA Funding, a super PAC supporting Haley, has emerged as the top advertiser in Iowa, spending $25 million in 2023 per ad impact. The super PAC has also the most ad money laid down for the last 2 weeks, nearly $3.3 million. Haley's campaign is looking for a strong showing in Iowa, followed by at least a solid second place finish in New Hampshire. Betting the field could winnow after the first two contests and leave Haley to take on Trump in her home state of South Carolina. Is everyone just forgetting Nevada exists? I know the Nevada situation's bizarre where it's both a caucus and a primary and Haley's on the ballot for the primary, but either way, there's still Nevada. Trump's going to win the caucuses by 50 cents. Haley's not even on the ballot. She's on the ballot for the primary, which, again, they're going to spin that as a victory for her because she's the only one on the ballot. But it's a mess. This entire situation is a joke. Haley and her allies are focused on electability in some of their closing arguments in Iowa. Really? After what you said about slavery and the Civil War, that's electable? You're passed as being a warmongering freak from South Carolina? That's electable? You're only polling better than Trump because guess what? The voters in the general electorate, not just Republican field, have no clue who the hell she is. They just think, oh, generic Republican, or whatever, which can mean a lot of different things. But when they realize what she supports, they're going to be like, funny, we're voting for Biden. Haley's campaign, which has spent $4.6 million on ads there, and has another $1.3 million reserved for the closing weeks, recently launched a TV ad touting polling that shows her defeating President Biden in a hypothetical rematch. Again, name ID. And we have proof from every polling aggregate that tracks this. Haley's unfavorability among Republican voters, the voters that are truly paying attention at this point in time. Like, yeah, independents are paying attention a little bit, but you get the point. Republican primary voters, her unfavorability has doubled since she's announced. Her favorability has stayed the same. So the more people hear about her, the less they like her. The Haley campaign, I should say the Haley Super PAC, has also put major money behind ads criticizing DeSantis in recent weeks, including one that just shows a dumpster on fire, while a rotating cast of audio commentators roast the DeSantis campaign. Which, again, it's just cringe. I mean, it's kind of fun with the dumpster fire, but he did it in such a cringe way. It's the DeSantis campaign. Yeah, we've been making that joke for 5 months now. You're late on that one. And of course, you got Never Stand Up, which is Super PAC that's backing DeSantis, has the next largest spender in the Iowa airwaves, dropping $17.6 million in ads in 2023. But they essentially ran out of money, and they pulled their ad reservations, even though we know that they've hurt DeSantis more than help. They claimed it was, we want to refocus our efforts. AKA, they ran out of money. That's what happened there. They were hurting DeSantis more than helping, and they just ran out of money. So, you just start looking more at this, and you realize this is a colossal joke that the Republican Party is allowing this much money to be spent that can be used for next year. I should say this year at this point. I mean, think about it, people. We have an election in 11 months. And they've been saying the Republicans have a money problem. Really? This is a money problem? No, it's an incompetence problem. Instead of spending money on a ground game, instead of spending money on, targeting Biden, they spend all this crap on a nonsensical primary that everyone knows. Everyone knows at this point, Trump's gonna win. Either way, folks, we just gotta see what happens, but this is just, I don't get it. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much, Godspeed to all of you.